Oh,
Yes. Yeah. It's
okay.
often like a 1 minute countdown. I was kind of thinking I would get to that. But anyway, we have nobody watching us, so no
Oh, good.
pressure yet. Because we can see up there on the left, the eye, there's a 0. That means we have nobody here. It's just us,
Oh, I don't
I,
see
which
a
is fine.
number.
But
I
it
don't
is.
see it yet either, but that's okay.
I don't know.
See it?
My watch just warned me saying that Jeff Eccles is now live on LinkedIn.
Oh.
Well, here we are. Today we are Jeff Eccles, live on LinkedIn. Are we also on? Can you check and see if we're on Facebook also?
Mm-hmm.
Let's see. I
Someone
have
checking
that
Facebook?
restream. If you happen to be on Facebook and you have, oh, nobody's here yet. I don't have to go through that.
Let me see here.
I'm checking LinkedIn right now.
I'll check Facebook.
I'm not seeing it on Facebook. Oh,
we have 2
Facebook, I
people.
think,
I see
going
us
live
on
soon.
LinkedIn. I see
Oh, wait,
us
I
on
thought I
LinkedIn.
did. Wait.
Oh, wait, I'm frozen.
No, we're on Facebook.
You're not frozen here. We can see you.
Oh, okay.
All right. So this is Context and Clarity Book Club today, and we're going to be talking about. Sorry, I'm late. I didn't want to come. And
Maybe everybody's going to be late because
they're not going to come.
all the
Nobody
books.
wanted to come, and we just had to accept it. Be on Facebook. Sorry, I'm late.
Oh,
Yep. So if you turn that on, then that'll just have me on there because there's a little bit of a lag. So if you are here, you say hello, and we'll know who you are up here in the comments. And so, Nicole, do you have any headphones?
Yes.
No? Anyway, if everybody has headphones, then that might be better. Or just turn the volume down on if you're watching it on another channel.
oh, so just
So I'm joined today by Wendy Brown, architect extraordinaire, Western Massachusetts. Pam Magnus. Do you want to be called Pam or Pamela?
Pam is good.
Pam from San Diego. And Nicole from Arizona. And how many of you did not want to come today to this thing?
It's Friday. I never want to come.
I didn't really want to.
No,
I didn't remember being nervous on the first book club, so I thought, okay, well, that's fine. I just won't be nervous today.
There you go.
Excellent. That's good. So are you nervous now? Or did
No.
your mindset work? See? Perfect.
Yeah.
Well, so Nicole, I know you read this book a long time ago, and it had some effect on your life.
Yep. So I first read this book in 2019. It had just come out. It was about a month after it was released. And that also it was right at the end of 2019 that I was taking over my architecture firm from the engineer I'd been working with for my business partner. He had decided he was retiring. So I was kind of in that, like, okay, I'm going to have to like run a business now, which means to be able to do that successfully, I actually need to talk to people. And I've always been pretty introverted and very happy with just being at home and being at work and not being involved with anything else and keeping my life close and simple. And so it came into my life at a very good point where I was realizing I needed to be out and talk to people and learn how to talk to people and not be so scared of it.
Right.
And so, and at that point, I was also starting to try and figure out, even with the beyond the work stuff, I should be getting involved and trying to do more things and just help the community more. And so right after that, I submitted applications to get involved in my HOA on the architectural committee. Like, that'd be good. And it's close to home and didn't seem too daunting. And it submitted applications to get on one of the city's variance board. And of course, both of those accepted my applications at the same time. So I joined both of those committees right about that time. And like I said, I had submitted those before I read the book. But then I actually started on those committees at the same time I was reading the book.
Yeah.
So it was perfect timing to where I was like, okay, I need to get out of my comfort zone and I need to get out there. And how do I approach people? And am I going to look stupid anytime I say anything?
Mm-hmm.
And it really did help me to realize maybe it's not, if I make mistakes, it's not the worst thing in the world. I'll move on. I'll get over it. Most people may not even notice the little mistakes. It helped me to learn how to talk to people on a deeper level when I'm talking to them. That you try and get past the small talk and actually make connections with people. And so it really came in at a good point to help push me out of that comfort zone and to learn from her lessons in the book that I'm not necessarily doing all those things. I have no intentions of doing stand-up. I have no intentions of just going and traveling around the world with random people and not knowing where I'm going or any of that. But it definitely pushed me out of my comfort zone.
All right. Well, that's cool. And when was that? When did you read that? Like when it came out? Like
2019. It was like
when it
July
came
of
out.
2019. So it's about 3 years ago.
Okay. And what about you, Wendy? When did you read the book?
I finished it about 2 weeks ago. So
Okay.
I read it during the regular book club time. It was so good, though. I just kept reading, and so I finished it early. Of course, I got it out digitally too, so I did have a bit of a time. I had to finish it before 14 days time. But yeah, it was really funny. It was good. I normally read nonfiction, which I guess this is kind of nonfiction.
Yeah, it's nonfiction.
Yeah.
I mean, who knows how much fiction's involved? We can ask her next week, but
right.
Yeah, in theory, it's just a memoir, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
So Rod and Chris are here. Hi. I would have not expected any less of you than to be late to this. And as
are they late because they didn't want to come?
Good question. When did you read the book, Pam?
I read it a couple weeks ago on the plane. So on the way to Oregon and on the way back, I finished it in that time frame.
Wow.
And I enjoyed it. It made the flight go much faster.
Yeah, I mean, I suggested that we read this book because we're talking to Jessica Pan next week. So I thought, well, that would be a good thing to have more of us read her book, right? But when I was reading the book, I could not believe I suggested that we read this book as a book club for the architecture group, and I also couldn't believe that Jeff agreed to it. So
Well, I think Jeff agreed to it before he read the book.
He did.
So.
He did. Neither one of us had read the book, and I figured, well, let's just read this book. And compared to last month's book, wasn't last month's book
The 7 Habits?
Yeah, the 7 Habits. So, I mean,
I think it's good to mix, though.
There's some similarities. Well, it's definitely like when she was getting her bikini wax, I thought, like, okay. But, it turns out that Jeff's not here anyway. So we can go ahead and discuss bikini waxes to our heart's content.
I'm sure that Chris and Rod would love that too.
Yeah, I'm sure they would.
Actually, did they read the book?
Did you read the book, Chris and Rod?
I was wondering that. Did Chris and Rod read it?
I mean, I think there's a lot of introverts. I don't think, Catherine, are you an introvert? You don't strike me as an introvert, but I definitely am.
I think we should talk about what is an introvert.
Yeah, I need to talk. Did anybody understand because I was talking to my daughter and she said, well, you're not really, I don't think you're an introvert. An introvert is someone who gets their energy from spending time alone.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. An extrovert gets their energy from spending time with people, and you can be a shy introvert, which is what Jeff says, and then you can be a shy extrovert, or you can be an outgoing. And I was like, wait a minute. Does anybody
else? What do we call an outgoing introvert? Let's call it like a introvert for like a bold introvert. You could be a bold introvert.
Yeah, that's not me for sure. But
I think that's me.
My daughter speculated that I was a shy extrovert.
Okay. So do you feel re-energized when you're with people?
Yeah, I guess so. Yeah. I mean, I don't feel like I need to spend a bunch of time alone to re-energize. So I guess that's I understand that's kind of the definition.
So you're shy extrovert. Well, so then does it apply? Extrovert. Like, do you think that? Okay, we'll just go around and take an inventory. So, Pam, are you a shy introvert? Would you say extrovert?
Oh, introvert.
Introvert.
Well, I'm good one-on-one. I'm very social. I can talk your ear off one-on-one, but in groups, like if you're afraid to do anything in groups, like that's hard for me. So I consider that an introvert. Like she was trying to reach out, like even in the book, all those things she was doing, the comedy club and all that stuff. I thought, oh, those are really big jumps.
Yeah, well, they really are. Yeah, so we're going to talk about that in a second. I guess Rod, Chris is leaving already, so
Wow.
oh well. So it looks like there are 8 people, and only 2 people I know of who are here were Chris and Rod. So if you're here, say hi in the chat so we can include you in the conversation. Rod says, "I'm not an introvert, but I like being alone and often don't like people." I am so with you. That's kind of me too. Particularly where I live now. I didn't read it, so I am waiting on you on your book reports. All right, that's fair.
None of the guys here read about the bikini waxes.
That's but we told them.
So that's interesting. Rod
They
thinks
may
he's not
not
an
read the book
introvert,
now.
but likes being off and doesn't like people. I
Yeah,
feel
I don't like
that is
people.
kind of an introvert.
Yeah.
Huh.
Yeah, I feel like I am not
So maybe
not
that's the. I'm
shy
sorry.
usually.
Maybe that's like the bold introvert.
Yeah, I think that's a bold introvert.
Ah.
Yeah, possibly. I think I might be a bold introvert.
Definitely have been the shy introvert. I'm the type, when I get done with work, I want to come home. I don't want to deal with people. I don't want to go out anywhere. I've always told my husband that, when I'm home, I don't want to people anymore. This is my safe space. Like, if we want to go out to dinner or something, you better warn me before I get home, because once my shoes are off, I'm not leaving the house again. And
Yeah.
I used to be much more shy. That's part of that transition over the last few years. I'm like, I do need to learn to talk to people. And the more I've done it, the easier it gets.
Yeah, so I think that might be like social anxiety that you can kind of change. Whereas like maybe like whether you, like if I'm at a party, I can have a good time at a party until I hit the wall and that's it. I need to go like right then.
Yeah.
And so, and I am really, really shy sometimes. And
I've learned to tolerate being around people and tolerate and enjoy being around people at times too. I've learned how to tolerate speaking in front of people, but even that, it was always in like smaller groups too. Even with like the city stuff or whatever, I'm usually not huge groups of people. I'd never done any type of video or live feed publicly streaming on anything until the Architect stuff. And
until right this moment.
You're right.
Well,
I did like a backstage one. I did the YouTube for Isra at one point, and so I've done some of them, and trying to get more comfortable with doing those things that I'm like, those ones are like permanent record if they're getting put out there online. So that's a new one for me to trying to get adjusted to, that people I don't know are going to see it, and I have no control over it, and that's okay.
Yep, I just ignore it myself.
See, Rod said he did commission sales. That would be terrifying for me. But that would probably be a good experience. But that is just...
Yeah, it would be pretty draining for me, I think, if I had to, like when we went to Eccleston, I had to leave. Like I didn't go out and do the things at night with people because I just needed to go back to my room. So I was also trying to sleep at that time. So I was trying to do that. Well, okay. So how do you think we can apply her book to our lives as architects?
Well, I feel like if Rod didn't read it and he's waiting on our book report, we should kind of give a...
That's right. We should give a book report.
Her life is going really, really badly, and she's getting even more shy and even more introverted, right? And then she decides she wants to change. It might change if she tries all these things, but then she goes all in, man. I can't believe.
My gosh.
Oh yeah, the things that she does would make me throw up, honestly.
Yeah.
Quit her job, traveled, or just went overboard.
Goes on the moth. She does improv. She does stand-up comedy. She actually goes to networking events. What else does she do?
She travels to a secret location by herself.
Another country by herself. Secret location.
You already mentioned that
wherever people tell her to go, where she doesn't know the people and doesn't speak the languages, and just kind of takes the leap of faith of getting out there.
See, but a lot of that seemed fun to me, and not really like I don't know. I guess a lot of it seemed kind of fun, but terrifying. Like the idea of traveling to some secret location. Yeah. I give that a thumbs up. That would be fun
and terrifying.
And one of the points that always stuck with me on it, and was the most memorable things that's always stuck in my head, and I always go back to it when I'm worried about how I'm going to look at people, was her very first part where she goes into the subways in London and starts asking people, so who's the Queen of England? And she's like, "That's a stupid question. I'm going to look stupid going up to people asking who the Queen of England is." First person she asks says it's Queen Victoria. And then she starts doubting and like, wait, that's not who I thought it was. Am I wrong on this? And then other people, some of them said it and some of them got it right. But she was so worried about being the wrong answer and realized she wasn't necessarily always the one looking like an idiot, because some of the other people were wrong. So it's always like, it's okay to put yourself out there and say the things. And if you look stupid, and it's not the worst thing in the world.
Well, I kind of thought they were just giving her a hard time, like saying Victoria, because that's so obviously wrong.
Well,
right?
Don't ruin it for me. I like thinking that the other people were screwing up.
Okay. Well, I could have been wrong. I mean, I do listen at 2x speed or 1.5. I think I listened to this one at 1.5.
Yeah,
who was talking on the audio?
Checked with somebody.
She narrated it herself.
Oh, she did.
Oh, she did? Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, I like, especially books that have some comedy in them. I always like them when you're listening to the audio when they're self-narrating it, because they do add to it on those things, and you get their personality into it a little bit more.
That reminds me, I went to look for her Moths recording, and I haven't. I'm sure I can find it eventually, but however I searched, I couldn't find it. So
yeah,
I thought that would be fun to listen to.
I know, and that seemed terribly brave. That was the first thing she did.
That is really, really, really brave. Also hard to do. Like, it's hard to get on the Moth even if you want to.
Right. She's got insider.
Yeah, she had a little. So I occasionally send messages to Jeff while we're in the middle of these books, and so one of the questions I sent to him was like, she never seems to work. Like, it would be interesting to have this kind of extroverted year. I guess obviously her work was writing the book, as he pointed out to me, which I should have realized. But she never talked. She had all this time to go do all this stuff, and also her husband. She just ditched him most of the time, I feel like.
I think it's the author thing. I think it's the time away for this book. These experiments she's doing for the book, so then she can't back out either. She's got to do them to see if she can do it. So did you guys ever read the Shonda Rhimes book, My Year of Yes?
Yeah, I did, but I got really irritated and I couldn't read too much of it.
Yeah, it's same premise. You know, she's going to say yes to everything, because didn't she say she was an introvert? I'm trying to remember. That was a long time ago. But
I can't really remember. I think I probably still have the audiobook. I should listen to that too.
Yeah, but this was more enjoyable. This one just flowed. It was just entertaining and enjoyable, I think. Which is a nice mix from just business books. You get something out of it without feeling like you've got to take bullet points.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, it's definitely true. But the idea of, I guess since COVID, I now do not want to leave my house. I have no desire really to leave my house and go to any of these things. So the idea of going to improv comedy classes or stand-up, that gives me I just kind of feel nervous for her, thinking about her flopping on those things. Because like improv, I feel like in terms of looking like an idiot, like improv is just like what you thought of that moment. So it's either going to hit or it's not going to hit. It seems like there's not as much pressure because you didn't think about it ahead of time. But something you've written, for an act, like a stand-up act, and then that's just nobody likes it. That would be, oh God! I just reading those parts, or listening to those parts, I felt it.
I know, because it happened to her. Like she did bomb. So
she did.
That's what I'm terrified.
The second time,
yeah,
but she survived it.
Yeah, and she survived it. Have you guys ever done comedy or anything like that?
So we have an improv comedy place walking distance from our house, and I always wondered who took those classes. So now I know.
Yeah, well, my kids, I set them up for my kids who wanted to do it when they were homeschooled. So I'd set up classes for them in various things. And the improv, I think it's a really good thing to be trained in because they just really thought on their feet. And you can also, it's just positive because you're not ever supposed to say no and cut anybody's idea off, right? So you just build on other people's ideas. So I think that's a nice community building type exercise. But I would, I could never do it. I mean, I feel like the idea of doing it is no.
Yeah, but so
Catherine, but look, Michelle just
that's
wrote.
What happened to her is she bombed with whatever that one was, the Indiana Jones thing where she like burned her hand and fell on top of somebody.
Oh, that's
and then
right.
she did it again. She like went and did it again.
Ugh,
and then
I know.
she really liked it. So
I know.
don't
I know
know.
that there's so many opportunities out there that we don't do or we don't take because of the perceived pain we will go through. Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
And a
So
lot
much.
of times people don't, those things that you're most self-conscious about, most people out there don't pay attention to. They don't notice the little screw ups. They don't notice if you're say the wrong words. They don't notice if your shoes don't match most of the time. Of course, I said that, and most of the time people don't notice, but then there will always be that one person who will.
mhm,
I will.
I will. I probably would.
I
I might
don't.
not say anything.
Yeah. I don't pay attention to people's shoes because if I do, I'll probably trip and fall on my face. But it you re- I it took a long time to kind of learn that most of the things that we worry about, other people don't notice or they're not going to worry about. And
That's true. Maybe it's because I'm so judgmental myself that it makes me self conscious. Maybe people
Mhm.
who are less judgmental aren't as self conscious because they're not expecting the worst in everybody else or something. I
I
don't
mean,
know
I
how
think
to.
architects are a little bit more critical because they have more of an eye. So that
Mm,
means we're more critical ourselves too, but we'll notice. Yeah.
hmm. So let me look at some of these comments here. Rod's significant other has met the Queen of England,
Oh,
Victoria,
Victoria?
Queen Victoria. Michelle's here. Hi, Michelle.
See,
Um,
she would do stand up. She would totally do stand up. But you are not an introvert, Michelle.
No.
mm, I
No.
don't think so. No. I mean, the thing is that I used to be really shy when I was younger, and yet I'm not shy. I will talk to anybody. So it's like a weird mix of,
Oh,
I don't know, just but playing my, as I mentioned, like playing my instrument, playing my fiddle, like by myself. Uh, okay, I just remembered another embarrassing story, so I can't even. But I'm not over it yet. So I used to run this fiddle competition, and then I gave it to somebody else to run, and then they were running it, and I thought, well, I'd made up this new category, which is just like display, or I can't remember what it was called. Some people didn't like competing; they just wanted to work on a piece and play it for the judge, and then get judged by the judge. And so I'm like, okay, well, I'll just do that because usually nobody was there. Like when I was doing it, nobody was there. That year that I was participating, they decided to put it in the New Hampshire Highland Games catalog. So people actually came to it. It was a room full of people. In the past, it had been like 3 people. So I felt I could do that in front of my friends. And I played in the orchestra. I played the fiddle orchestra at the time, which isn't a real orchestra. It's just we play whatever. And and I got up there and I played. There's so many people. And so I had to close my eyes. No, I had to turn around because I didn't want to see the people. So I was like turned around, playing to the corner, shaking so badly that my bow was just going like that. All like was really shaking quite a lot. And then the woman who was the judge, who was somebody I'd known from fiddle camp and stuff, she's like, "Oh, that was beautiful vibrato," which in Scottish fiddling you don't really use vibrato, and so it was obviously just me shaking a lot. And I didn't know if she was making fun of me or she loves vibrato, and I don't ever use vibrato except for when my bow's shaking like this. It was horrible, very embarrassing, and I did a very. I'm not over it yet. And in fact, now I'm getting all sweaty thinking about it. But you know what, Nicole, probably nobody cares. And probably the people who are in the audience were like, oh my God, this is people love watching a train wreck anyway. So they probably were entertained. Oh, it was
yeah,
so
so
bad.
far at least none of my train wrecks have turned into like viral videos or anything like that.
Yep, that's
But
yeah,
good.
it's one of
true.
those things where even if they do, life goes on. We'll be fine.
Well, I know we were talking about embarrassing things this morning on Clubhouse. So and one thing I did that was embarrassing when now I've forgotten his name. Seth Godin
As long as it's
was
not
on.
Farhad.
That was funny. Seth Godin was on, and this private chat. I was privately chatting. Jeff and I were privately chatting back and forth, but everybody who's on the show can see it, so he could also see it. And we were talking about him in the chat. Like I can't remember
Oh,
what we were saying, but later we we're like, "Oh my God!" But I didn't even realize that until like the next week when we were talking about somebody like, and then the guest answered in the private chat.
oh,
So I was like, "Oh my God, that means last week he could totally see it." That's also embarrassing to think about. But anyway, so things like
Watch
that. I just want to
Catherine.
crawl up.
Catherine, you don't need it. You don't get traumatized now. You don't have to remember a bunch more embarrassing stuff.
Okay, I'm done with remembering the embarrassing.
But
I'm
I
getting
think
really
being
sweaty.
able to relive and talk about those embarrassing moments also help you get over them.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
maybe.
No, it's true.
And
It's true.
like the one I was mentioning in Clubhouse this morning, that's the one that still stands out to me, and I'm much more careful at checking my emails anymore. For those of you that weren't in Clubhouse, I emailed to a planner viewer, and his name was Farhad. And I was doing it on my phone. I was on my way to a meeting, so I did it really quick and sent it. And then afterwards, I realized autocorrect changed his name to Fathead instead of Farhead. And I'm like,
That's
oh
so
my goodness, that's
awful.
not good when you're trying to ask a reviewer to like give you a little bit of leeway on a project.
No.
And then I had to try and sit there and like, do I say something and respond back to him and be like, sorry, it was the autocorrect? Or do I pretend like I never noticed that it did it? Before I like, well, I was still debating that he did respond back and he ignored it and just kind of, oh, here's the information you were looking for and stuff like that. So I'm like, okay, I'll just let this one go. But it sticks in my brain. And I'm like, okay, don't trust the phones on autocorrect. Make sure
You probably weren't the first one.
Yeah,
Poor
and that's
guy,
what I think
though.
too. I'm like, if my phone autocorrected it, I bet he gets that often.
So Michelle says there are those conversations in the beginning of COVID when people would be chatting with me, but they didn't know that they were saying it to everyone, and I had to say, "Ah, you're saying that to everyone." Yeah, there are lots of Zoom. I'm back in the beginning of COVID. There were lots of funny Zoom viral videos of someone going to the bathroom while they were on Zoom and stuff.
Oh my gosh.
Oh man.
Yeah. Anyway, so
Yeah.
how can we take the information in her book and use it for our own betterment? I don't know what you would say. Like to change ourselves to be better
She did
architects.
have a lot of, because she interviewed other experts and had a lot of tips from when, for the things that she was about to do. But breathing and all the other, even the first person who told her to ask a dumb question, that was pretty cool. And then the interesting thing about the friend dating. Now I
forgot
was
about
wondering
that.
if you guys had any, like my friends I've had for years and years and years, and most of them still live right in town. So I don't have reason to, and I live in the same town, so that I have lived in for a long time. I don't have reason, but I guess that could happen to a lot of people if you move to a new town, or if I didn't know if any of you felt like, oh, that'd be good.
So when I was
I
on
do.
the plane reading the book, I was telling the woman next to me who's retired about what I was reading. She asked me what I was reading, and I just happened to tell her that part of the book. And she's retired and living on her own, and said, there's such a thing as friend dating. And she said, I am, and she must be, probably in her late 60s, 70s. She's like, I'm all over that. I'm going to do that. So I thought, wow.
That's
cool. We should tell everybody that part of the book was when she did the Bumble BFF. Was it Bumble BFF or something like
was
that?
it just Bumble or something?
Yeah, I think that's like
it's like a friend dating
friend
app,
app,
right? So you swipe left or right or whatever you do, like based on who's a friend. So Michelle, what you do is you meet for coffee or whatever. You're actually just looking for friends. Like it's literally just friends. And I think, well, in her case, she was looking for woman friends. So she was just going out with or trying to match with women who were interested in meeting her. And sometimes it didn't go very well. Like when she heard about somebody who invited however many guys to a baseball field.
Oh, that's right.
Their speed date.
Yeah.
For their team. Yeah, it's just online dating, but with friends instead.
I mean, since I'm not going to do online dating for dates, maybe a friend date thing. I just that's another thing. I feel like I couldn't do that. Do you feel like you could do that? That'd be so like putting yourself out there and like, here I am. You interested in me? No, nobody.
The other people you're finding on that are probably feeling the same way of, you got to put yourself out there, and they're probably as terrified of it too. That one I could kind of relate to because I did move 2,000 miles away from home to go to college, and all my family and friends are scattered. Most of them are still back east and not in Arizona. And because I am an introvert, after I moved out here, there's people I know and I have acquaintances, but I really don't have any close friends here because I'm not to go out and search them. And then the few that I have from when I was younger, where it's easy to make friends when you're in school, they're all on the other side of the country. So, I've had times where I'm like, okay, if we want to do something or have a party or whatever, who am I going to invite? Like,
it was a sad statistic when she talked about the older you get, the less friends you make, and all that. And I do think COVID and like Entree Architect really helped for us, like all meeting each other all at once. I feel like I've made so many more friends through this. But otherwise, if you didn't have this, something like this going on, it would be limiting. Right. I still wouldn't do that friend date thing. I'm too scared of some crazy person.
Yeah.
And I would say I still don't have any like super close friends, but if I do want to go and do something, because of the people that I've met from Entree Architect and the people I've met from being involved in my community and things like that, I have met people that are there, but I still prefer just coming home and not having to deal with people most of the time. But it also has made me kind of reach out and try and keep those connections with people and try and build some of those. And I know it was after, I forget what it was, one of the other context and clarity sessions that it was talking about how you should get out and meet people and networking. And maybe Jeff was talking about how he would do a cup of coffee with people all the time. And I'm like, what? I don't ever go out and do anything, so maybe I should. And like in the middle of that context and clarity, I sent a message to Janine Ng because she lives 5 miles from me. And I'm like, I know you're right here. We're both involved in this group, but never met. I'm like, let's go do coffee. Let's go do something just to get out of the house. I'm like, and to get to meet some other people around here. And we do that at least like probably once a month or so, that we get together and do coffee now and complain about our work and about the cities. And so I don't know. I didn't need the Bumble BFF because I reached out to the Entree Architect people in the area instead of going through.
Yeah, because then they're vetted, slightly vetted.
But yeah, that was completely out of my comfort zone just to make that attempt and just be like, put that offer up. Be like, yeah, we should meet.
Just don't be friends with Rod because it says that his friends have either moved or died. So
yeah, but probably not because they're friends with him. But he also said he skips a lot of things he's gone to previously. For example, they have a Bob Dylan birthday jam that I used to go to, and I've skipped the last couple and have not been going to the arts crawls and things of that sort. I know I haven't either, but is that because of COVID? I mean, part of it is that I'm not in a big hurry to be in a large crowd. Another thing is like I just feel really, really tired. I feel like I'm just really tired now, and I feel like all I want to do is go sleep.
Yeah.
So,
or is he not doing as many of those things because he doesn't have anybody to go with them?
Well,
maybe he needs the Bumble BFF to go find.
I mean, do they have Bumble BFF for men as well?
I assume so.
Maybe one of our audience members could look it up right now and let us know.
So do you guys go to events on your own? Because usually for me, I don't go on my own, and I'll call Michelle or someone. Are you going? And then I'll debate.
Oh, I do go to events on my own. Not social ones necessarily, but I
go to business things on my own.
But I don't networking things.
Yeah.
What else do I do on my own?
If you don't know anybody?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, I mean,
I didn't used to. It's true. I didn't used to. I would be a nervous wreck, and I would just not want to go. And
okay, how'd you change? Because I'm still there.
I would make the beeline to the corner like Jessica did, and sit. Just.
Well, do you go to would you go to the restaurant?
Where if I go by myself, I'll still sit there and be like, "Yep, I don't really want to talk to anybody," and I'll be like, should I go up to somebody? Those people over there, maybe I'll join their conversation. And sometimes I get the courage to get up and do it. And sometimes I just sit there and be the wallflower. And if I go, and there's still a lot of times where like, yeah, maybe I shouldn't go. Don't really want to go to this one alone, or like going to Vermont. Like I didn't want to go up there all alone and meet for the Ecclestock. And so I dragged my mom along.
Yeah, that was good. That was a good idea. Yeah. I mean, if you're going to go see, like you said, a bunch of strangers in the woods, you should bring your mom with you.
Yeah. And it was good for her because she has, like, since I started my firm, she has been helping me out with the bookkeeping. So she's involved in my company. And so hearing the business side of it, and it did give her a little bit more insight into our industry, where she used to work for Michigan State University as a admin secretary. So she was used to budgets and stuff going through that and how that type of business works. So seeing what we're doing, when she's trying to look at books, she's like, do you really need to spend this stuff, or how does it work, and what's this? And so it did give her some good understanding to help her understand what we go through and what our business really is.
Yeah. Well, it's good that she got to see that then.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I went to that alone, kind of. I mean, I brought Jeff with me. So that was like weird because I mean, I don't really know any of you except for I feel like I do. So I didn't feel like alone. And that was, it's
I
just,
went alone kind of, but I knew John ahead of time.
Yeah.
Even though I hadn't seen him in a million years.
that's true. You did know John. So Manuel says, in my older age, I've learned to not give a hoot about what anyone thinks. So now I go to events and ham it up. But this took me about 20 years to drum up the courage. It turns out that I'm very happy now going to events and chatting up with people.
Oh, see, that's good. And
Yeah,
I think that was the story of the book too. She felt better
mm-hmm.
branching out.
Yeah,
like
definitely.
you're scared until you actually do it, then you're better for it.
I would say it also took me 20 years.
I'd like to say I don't care what anybody thinks, and yet somehow I must because things scare me too much to do them. So I'll have to really write about that. Figure out what's the issue. Some things I just don't want to do because I really just want to go to sleep. Like I don't want to go because I don't want to see people I know. I don't want to have to talk to them about how I am or anything. I just want to go to sleep. So
I feel like everybody feels that way, and I'm like everybody I talk to, they're just tired all the time, and they have no energy, and we're like, okay, is this a getting older thing? Is this a COVID thing that makes everybody more tired just because of the lifestyle of things? Or
I don't know.
I don't know.
But I used to like to go out, and would I go out for dinner by myself? Yeah, I think I could do that. I think if I'm going to do that, I think if we are going to, I don't know if we're going to challenge each other to do any of these things, but if we did, like, I think there need to be some rules, of course. I mean, that's not surprising that I need to have some rules, but that I like maybe not bringing my phone. Like, I think you should be able to bring a notebook, let's say, or a sketchbook or something like that, but not your phone because then you're just sitting there.
Yeah, that doesn't count then.
Yeah, doesn't really count. Are you alone if you have your phone? That's what I'd like to know.
I don't mess with my phone when I'm alone. Like if I order a sandwich or something and I'm waiting, I just stand around and look at everybody. I don't scroll because I don't want to lose that, paying attention.
Yeah, connecting to the world, kind of, even if they're just moving by you.
Serendipitous encounters, and yeah.
John wanted to know about my client date today. Well, I was looking up their address, so Googling her name to find the address, and it turns out she had written to me in February, and I did not respond to her in February. And then her husband wrote through my website, and then that's how we started talking. And so I started off the date saying, "Hey, I noticed that I never wrote back to you on Valentine's Day when you wrote to me, and sorry about that. I really hate being that person who doesn't write back at all." I happened to be at Fiddle Camp at the time, and I don't know what happened. It's just like, just got swept away in all the emails, I guess. But anyway, so that's how it started. But I think they like me, and they're going to hire me. So that's good.
Oh, that is good.
Yeah. So it was embarrassing. It was a little embarrassing, but I made it through. My pants didn't split. And in the end, I just had to eat some humble pie. That's all. How do you pronounce that? Manuel says, but I did once go to Galatore's by myself in New Orleans and had a blast with the table next to me filled with complete strangers. Well, that's true. I can have depending on the strangers, I can't have a good time with strangers. So I mean, sometimes I like people, but I think I'm not going to like them. I think I'm not going to have the energy to talk to them.
My parents have always been more of the extroverts and very social and talking to people, and they can start up conversations with almost anybody. My dad doesn't know how to stop conversations. He'll talk forever, and I think I picked up on some of that now that I've come out of my shell. But then like for talking to strangers, so when we were after Vermont, we went to Boston where my brother lives there, and then while we were there, we went to the Cheers bar. Because, of course, you go to Boston as a tourist, you got to go to the Cheers bar. My mom is the type where, okay, you're at Cheers. Everybody's supposed to know your name. So She learned the name of every person in there. Anybody that came in, first question they got asked was my mom going up to them. So what's your name? And then she'd introduce everybody else at the restaurant and
Oh
at the
my
bar.
gosh.
And so it just turned into like a couple hours of whoever walks in, like, okay, what's your name? Okay, Julie, from where are you from? Okay, you're from Australia. This is Peter. This is Matt. This is, and she just,
Oh my
by the end of it,
gosh.
she knew everybody in there. And
That's
it was so much
amazing. That's
fun.
amazing.
So you
Is it,
they did not rub off on you at all then, right?
A little
well,
bit.
maybe that's why you were like hiding from people because your
Yeah.
mom was just gonna. Did what's it like in there? I've never actually been in the Cheers bar.
I haven't either.
I've been
Massachusetts
upstairs, but not
people.
downstairs, where I guess everybody wanted to go.
Last I heard, the upstairs is, or at least when we were there, the upstairs was closed, which they say the upstairs is supposed to look like the one on the show.
Oh.
The downstairs one is very tiny, but it's a lot of fun. So they got some tables on the back, and then you got the bar area, but it's really not that big. So you kind of get squished in there, and so that does make it more fun when you're having to talk to everybody and introduce everybody, because there's probably only 20 people in the whole place. So.
Well, one of you before we came on said that you had written down a question.
I did write down. Well, we talked about the friend dating, and we talked about the. I guess that was one of the things, but the other thing was the small talk thing. I totally agree that I don't want to do small talk, and I notice it a lot. Like there's this particular group that I've gone with. I'm like, where's the meat here? Like, that was fine, but it wasn't rewarding.
So what is small talk? Is that kind of like, well, what would count as small
The
talk? Like
weather.
when do you cross the line into deep talk, or what is that even called? Deep talk? Big talk? I mean, obviously
Well,
you're saying
so she got some advice on that too. That was questions that have.
Oh, right. Where she's just asking people, like, do you feel lonely?
Where you
That sort of
feel
thing.
something. Yeah.
Yeah. It getting past the how are your kids doing? What grade is your daughter in? And things that are just kind of the surface things and getting into.
It could be anybody's answer. Yeah.
How do you feel about this thing? And yeah, I don't remember exactly what any of the questions were either, but
yeah.
The deeper things. What's your most embarrassing moment, like we were talking about, and those types of things that you really are getting to learn about the inside of the person and get beyond the mask that we all put up.
Mm-hmm. Well, I think it might be time for me to get into a little bit of discomfort. Uh-oh. Not right now.
Talk.
But I mean, am I having an existential crisis? I'm not even sure what that is, Rod. Where do you go from regular crisis to existential crisis? Like when you're wondering about what your existence means? Is that?
I guess
I'm on that most. I can bring that up every day. Michelle says, I did go on a hike with a group of people, and the people wanted to small talk with me, and I was hiking, and I can't hike and talk about anything, and I got mad and turned around and walked down the hill. Michelle, that is so... I don't know. I'm surprised to hear that.
Yeah, that is surprising.
Rod said, just some small talk. Okay, I don't know.
He's replying to him?
Replying to himself?
Is he replying to himself?
Replying to Rod. Yeah, so was it any talking, Michelle, or was it just the small talk? Because I wouldn't care for that one bit, but if someone was deep talking, then that would be okay.
Deep talking. What is that deep talking called? Having a deep conversation, I guess.
Yeah, isn't that what she said? They said in the book, deep talk?
Yeah, something like that.
Oh, I don't know. I don't remember.
The whole Brene Brown kind of vulnerability discussion.
Vulnerability. That came up again, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Vulnerability.
Yeah.
So, okay. I keep trying to bring it back to how this can improve our relationships as architects, right? To our clients. I mean, maybe it's just having the boldness to do things that not feel.
Well, I think for me, like meeting potential clients, I don't get out there at all. So, you can do good work, but no one knows if you're not marketing and you're not out there talking to people, and then you just get frustrated with the people that are just mediocre getting all these projects, and you're like, yeah, but they know how to get out there. So getting out, just pushing yourself to get out there to do it. I got that out of the book. I can't hide in the home office.
I guess we could go around and say, how vulnerable do you want to be as a design professional? I overshare, I think because of my neurodivergent self, I overshare too much. I don't know if anyone's ever noticed, but so I just mostly spend my time cringing, and I do overshare sometimes as an architect, because the thing is, we do things that are really we design spaces that are for people's private lives, as if we're doing residential work. So I've overshared about things, or I've been like in this situation when I get really embarrassed and I just want to run away. My hair kind of all feels like it's standing up. Do you guys have that feeling that, and then you just want to run off? Do you have that feeling?
Like it's no.
It's like it doesn't feel like it's standing up. Like it's obviously not standing up, but and then it gets kind of like fizzy. My skin feels kind of fizzy.
Wow.
And
I'll have to be on the lookout for that.
Yeah. Now, what about you? Do podcasts? There's a comfort level in that, or does that?
Well, that's because I can talk to people about what they're doing, and I don't have. I mean, I cringe a lot at what I say a lot of the time, but I mean, I'm just kind of used to that now, I guess, and I try not to. I can also do the rough editing on my own podcast where I cut my things out. On Context and Clarity, I can't, and so I don't listen to Context and Clarity because I can't
cut it out.
Can't bear listening to the things that I sometimes end up saying. So, Michelle says, well, they were talking about going to Mexico, and I said I didn't want to go to Mexico, and they said, well, why not? And I said, because I don't drink. And they said, well, what about a resort? And I said, no, because I don't like to be around a lot of people on vacation. And they said, well, what would it take to get me down there? And I said, I don't know, maybe if I had a project where I would. Oh, project there I would. I guess I'm not a very fun person. Did you yell that, or did you just type it and yelling? And then I left. I guess I'm not a very fun person. Well, okay. I guess I took care of them. You didn't have to talk to them anymore, especially after leaving. How vulnerable do you want to be as a design professional, Rod? Oh, anyway. So, Wendy.
Well,
what did you get out of the
book? What did I get out of the book? I feel like even though I was gradually on my way to being more comfortable speaking in front of other people, meeting new people, I feel like I definitely had, got some more insight and examples of ways to be even more comfortable. So that was good.
One part I thought was really interesting was the end where she has that Thanksgiving meal at her house. And then she talks about how, and I used to have a lot of parties. Now I don't have parties, but I used to have a lot of parties. And what she said about being, it's easier to have your own party because you can be busy the whole time. You don't have to talk to people, and you're doing something else. So there's no pressure for you really to be just chatting with people, So I thought that was kind of an insight I hadn't thought about before, that as I just feel more comfortable doing stuff than just standing around talking to people. So if I'm passing hors d'oeuvres or something, let's say, then I don't have to talk to people very long because I just have my little tray of thing and I'm like doing something that I don't have to just stand around. So I don't know, thought that was kind of inspired me to maybe have more people over to my house, because I'd much rather have my own party than go to someone else's party.
Really?
Yeah. And I realize why, because what she wrote. So, Michelle also said, well, then the person in charge was calling me on my phone and I got the message and I said, well, I just didn't want to talk at 7 a.m. on a Sunday morning and I'm trying to hike up a mountain. Did this happen recently, Michelle? Because I feel like you texted me about that. Just came back to me, the part about it being 7 a.m. and you didn't want to try to talk to people. Anyway, when I read the book, I kind of felt like I should really just push my own, I should challenge myself to do things like this, like the stand up, which I find terrifying. The idea is I'm terrifying. Actually, no, I would rather go out for dinner by myself write up an act and give it on the stage. Oh, did you guys watch Marvelous Mrs. Maisel?
Oh yeah, yeah.
Oh my god, that was like so tense. So many times I just like,
Oh yeah,
oh, she's like bombing so much more than she succeeded. That,
yeah.
oh, just the idea of that is so scary. So then,
That
because
was good.
that's so
It was
scary,
funny though. Yeah.
it was funny.
Yep.
Yeah, well, it was a show, but that's actually a show. So that's not a real life because that was somebody wrote that as a show.
Right.
But because that scares me so much, or if there are things that scare us, should we do those things to kind of build our character or whatever? I guess it would be building.
I think we should still do them. I had this thing where but the part of the problem is you have to feel like if you have conviction, then you can like get almost through anything. I feel like I had to, or I didn't have to, but I decided to make a presentation to the school committee about energy. This is a few years ago, pre-COVID, and there was a good 50 people in the room, and I knew that there were going to be, and I knew a handful, but not very many. And I wrote up this gigantic thing. It ended up taking 12 minutes. And I was a nervous wreck. But I was like, this is my chance. I really have to say this. So I guess if you are prepared, like she was the first time, when she did the comedy the first time, she was really prepared.
Mm-hmm. When
So
she did the
now-
stand-up act, you mean?
Yeah. So now having done that, which was terrifying, to say something controversial, basically, to try to get, to talk about a vote that we were about to do. It was, so now that's behind me and yeah.
So you're glad you did it. And now
I'm
you
glad I
do it
did
again.
it.
Yeah.
I'm glad I did it. Yep.
Yeah. That's probably one of my big takeaways is, the fear's still there, but don't let it stop you. It's not really not as scary as what your brain likes to think it is.
Yeah. And the thing is, nobody else knows what you're going through on the inside.
And most of them are going through the same thing. That's like, I know when she's talking to people on the bus or on the trains and things like that, she was like, said she saw a statistic that was like 50% of people or 45% of people will want to talk to other people when they're on a train or on a bus. And she found that pretty much all of them do. If you sit there and start up a conversation, almost everybody's going to talk back with you and that they're going to engage in that.
I used to like to, before COVID, now I don't seem to talk to anybody out in public, but before COVID, I used to like to talk to people, or I couldn't really help myself, and I had to talk to people in the checkout line about the headlines that were on the magazines there at the checkout. Especially the ones where they talk about like, flat stomach in 30 days. Like, how could they even say that? What are they don't even know what someone's stomach looks like. Like, I don't know. I find that so irritating. And then in the same women's magazine, they also have cake recipes. Like, which one is it? Are we going with a cake? Are we going with a flat stomach? And also, what kind of promises are you making? So I'd say stuff like that to random people in the line, and some of them would be like, and other people would talk, so.
That could be a whole stand-up routine right there.
Right.
Outline
I have plenty to
discussions.
say about those stupid women's magazines.
I think Catherine has a what was it, 5 minutes? I think you got 5 minutes if you
Yeah.
start,
5 minutes
if
of
you start
material?
writing
Sure.
some stuff up. Yeah.
I think so.
Oh, that is like too much to think. But I mean, if I did that, that would be such an accomplishment. Like, she did it, and like was totally bombed in Scotland. Like, she just talked about that the whole rest of the book. She's
Yeah. Well, that was a big one. That's a big bomb, Scotland.
That
What do
was
you
a big
think?
bomb. Oh my gosh.
Oh, yeah, but when people actually boo, at least they're interacting, if they're booing at you. Well, I always like to challenge, like to set goals and challenge. Does anybody else want to do that? Any of you? Are you willing to do any of the things that she said in the book, like go to a mystery place? You don't know where you're going alone. Would anybody want to do that? That seems expensive and time.
That seems expensive.
A lot of time. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Taking an improv class.
Well, there is that one down the street. I'll check the
I would
prices.
consider that, but I don't. I'm where I'm at, and we don't have a lot of things. So
Okay, so Wendy can't do that. There must be like a Zoom improv. There's Zoom everything now.
Probably.
That's true.
Hmm.
So
What
I was
else?
just looking up, and so I know we're talking about when she's trying to do the deep talking. The first one that she had gone to somebody and was asking, "What's the worst thing you've ever done?" I don't know that we want to enter that on permanently recorded video necessarily, but
we don't.
That's an interesting one.
Just to go up to was it random strangers or was it
I think
people
she was
like
at
a
a party
networking event?
It was that painter, yeah.
Yeah.
And what had he done? I don't remember.
He set fire to the school, the school, the studio in high school.
He burned down the art department at the school when he was a
yeah.
teenager.
Yeah.
Wow, that's pretty bad. But, we don't ask each other that, so maybe all of us have done things equally bad.
Wait, friend dating? Maybe Nicole could do friend dating.
I would be really uncomfortable to do friend dating too, so I could do that.
We all need to go invite somebody out for coffee.
Somebody that we don't know.
Or go to coffee by ourselves and sit there and people watch, but then you have to find somebody and talk to them and get them to sit with you.
Yeah, I know, but COVID sort of thing would would be, I don't know. I mean, where I live anyway, people are still staying away from each other and wearing masks, which personally I love wearing a mask because then it's like a dream come true. I don't have to see anybody. I just have a mask on. But during the height of COVID, when people were all wearing masks, I was really surprised when people would recognize me. I felt really safe, like I had an invisibility cloak on, and I wouldn't have to talk to anybody like at the store.
Yeah,
but they somehow would recognize me anyway.
Somebody recognized me today that I hadn't seen in almost 5 years. So that was cool. Which I did. I thought, oh, her eyes look familiar, and then she says, "Oh, are you Wendy?"
Wow.
So
we
both had masks on. Yeah. Yep.
Yeah.
I didn't know her very well either, so that was surprising. Yeah. So you can't hide even from people you don't know very well.
Yeah, no, you can't hide, which is why I don't like going out because you're bound to run into someone that you know. So I should probably look deeper into that, but I don't think I could ever. So the thing improv, stand up, best friend or dating app, friend dating app, or
going to something by yourself.
Like a networking event by yourself.
Yeah, the networking.
That doesn't seem that unusual, though. I bet we could all do that. Going to the desert and eating peyote buttons or whatever they had.
Well, yeah, but what's
mushrooms?
The point of that?
Yeah, I don't understand what that had to do with anything. Did that require?
It was just out of her comfort zone, I guess. But that wasn't.
And maybe they were all strangers. Were they all strangers to her?
No,
I can't remember.
Well, just one of them was her friend, and then the other people, like there were two other people maybe, and they were not her friends, and then she found that woman really annoying. But that seems standard
Rod
to me.
commented that he takes his dog to the coffee shop and usually gets into deep conversations about dogs.
Yes, but dogs are good for that.
How deep?
Is he initiating those conversations, or is it people approaching him and starting the conversations because of the dog? I've kind of found that if I have the dogs, people will be like, "Oh, that's such a cute dog," and then they start talking about it, and so it's usually
that's how to cheat. Have a dog, yeah.
Oh yeah, that's a good icebreaker. Dogs for sure, good icebreaker.
It makes it much easier when the other person approaches you. It's not as scary then. It's easy to respond and talk back, but so I don't know. But has somebody talk to him and approach him start talking about dogs? You need to ask them what's the worst thing they've ever done in their life. Make sure that your worst thing wasn't that they went and were like a dog serial killer or something like that.
Right.
What if somebody came up to you and asked you what's the worst thing you've done in your life? Would you actually tell them what the worst thing you did was? I mean, would you know offhand?
I can't think right now, but no.
Yeah, I have to think about what the worst thing is, but possibly. I've gotten much more open, and I think that especially with context and clarity and a lot of our talks here, we do get into those deeper conversations, and we do show that vulnerability in here, which is one of the things I love about it. And that's why a lot of us do feel like friends in here, because we have opened up to that point. Mm-hmm. So it hasn't been that scary to be vulnerable to people. And I do think that the more we do that, the more connections we do make, and we do get deeper connections with people by being vulnerable. And I think that's if it's just the small talk of the time, we still feel alone because, yeah, they're just acquaintances. They're not really friends. And so that's kind of the main way to get past that, I think, is answer the hard questions.
What is Michelle getting upset here with Rod? Probably not. Def not. Oh no, it's the same. It's the same comment, maybe. So she's not just continually saying def not. Def not, Rod. Def not.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's funny.
I don't know what that is about though.
Has anyone seen that play Come From Away? Is that what it's called? Come From the one about 9/11. Oh, I just saw it and it was amazing. If it ever.
Oh, is that the one where is that where the Canadians are taking care of the people?
Yeah. It is amazing.
I need to see that. Is it good?
Is amazing. But the idea of a situation like that, and then you have a closer relationship just out of context. I know she talked about that in the book. If there's, turbulence on a plane and people connect, you can connect faster because you're instantly more vulnerable knowing something bad could happen. So that kind of focused on that you can get to know people really well. And
what was she saying? It took a certain number of hours otherwise. How many years? It was a really long time.
A long time.
I think if you're in some kind of tragedy with someone.
But if something tragic happens, it's like immediate connection. So I believe that.
Yeah. Well, I still am interested to know what small talk is versus
deep talk.
But whether
no, Catherine,
I mean, I know what small talk is, but then how much small, like when does it switch from small to deep?
When does it switch?
Or, I mean, if it's like size wise, if you line it up, like talking about how humid it is, that's small talk, right?
Yeah.
I would say you can always be distracted from small talk. It's easy. Like if someone, you're at a table and someone's like, oh, look, here's a picture of my dog, or my daughter did this or that or whatever. And then all of a sudden, if someone says something that's deep talk, and then you're like, okay, now I'm really paying attention.
Yeah, it's personal. Yeah.
Who cares who's coming in and out of the door at the restaurant or what, because now you're like, oh, this is important stuff. Or I don't know. I guess to me, that's what it would feel like, switching from small talk to deep talk.
So there's no medium talk. If you're talking about like your marriage or something, would that be medium talk? It seems like that's not small talk, or is that small talk? If you're talking about
if you're talking about the fights between your husband, or if you're just saying, yep, I'm married and have kids, and if you're just
that's definitely small. Yeah,
that's small.
Right.
But if you start talking about, we had this fight about whatever, and start getting into more details on it, and once you start opening up and beyond the surface stuff and the stuff that's vulnerable, and that you're like, maybe I shouldn't share this stuff. That's kind of the way I take it. If it's something that's hard to say and put out there in public, you're getting into the deeper stuff.
Yeah. I mean, I know it when I see it. I was just wondering, like, small, how much of it is small? Is it all small? Maybe I'm tired of small talk. I don't know. Do we have small talk or medium talk or deep talk on this, context and clarity?
A little bit of all.
Yeah.
Depends on the topic, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I would say mostly medium.
Medium.
Which makes me think that there is medium talk then.
Slightly personal, but not oversharing.
Yeah.
Not your deepest.
Because we have a lot of comedy too. A lot of humor.
Yeah, we do, which is nice to have a place to go where you enjoy the people and can laugh.
Yeah, so that's medium, right? Because that's not small or deep, I guess.
Yeah, I don't know. Small talk you can't laugh at small talk, I'm going to guess, right? Small talk's not funny.
Small talk's not funny.
Just cut that out.
I mean, if that small talk is not necessarily talking about things with yourself, because then
someone has a
really
good
say things about yourself that is funny, but you're like, if you start talking about my dog did this and this and this, it's still small talk and it can still be funny, but it's not about you then. It's about other people.
So, you know what? I'm going to go outside after this. I'm going to see my neighbor Alice, who's like 68 or whatever. I'm going to say, hey, Alice, hi, how are you doing? What's the worst thing you've ever done? See what she'd be like.
Yes, you report back.
Yeah, and I'll tell you what she says.
We have a comment from Matthew on here saying that small talk
Yeah.
is people, medium is events, and deep talk is ideas.
Ah.
Interesting. And he also says all levels can be funny.
Oh, well, that's good.
Yeah.
He seems to have
Yeah, that can be.
expertise on this.
Yeah, so Matthew, since you know, what is like a funny bit of small talk? Like, because I think of small talk as like, oh, where are you from? I'm from Indiana, wherever. I mean, it's not funny. That is not funny.
I would say if you're talking about like what your kids did and things that they're doing, that's still small talk stuff, but it can be funny stuff because.
Well,
So
but
I
then
think
like this
Yeah.
morning when John shared his running out of Disneyland and all that, that was sharing something that happened, and then but it was pretty funny.
Yeah.
So,
but that wasn't small talk, right?
right, that wasn't small talk.
Right.
But I guess, was it deep? I don't know. Oh, he admitted it to us.
Indiana's funny. It might be, actually. I've only been on the highway in
It's a
Indiana.
fact.
I'm not sure I've ever stopped. I've never stopped moving in Indiana, I think.
I think Rod
Indiana
is
can be
always
funny, but can you show it with your hand on the map and tell people where you lived? And I'm originally from Michigan, so that was the one that was always like,
Yeah,
I
that's
grew up
Michigan.
right there.
Well, that's why, you think of the hand. Like Massachusetts is like, I live.
Yeah.
Okay, so pretend the state ends here, and I live, or no, I guess it would be like this.
You need the cape though.
I guess it would be like this.
I don't know. I can't.
I've never used a hand
like a
position
big
to compare.
box.
Yeah.
Massachusetts? Well, it's a box, and then it's got
No,
kind of like,
Arizona. She said.
oh, Arizona, yeah.
Yeah.
Will that be like your palm? So you live
Except
right
for
there.
that's too tall, so it's probably more like that size.
I live there.
Although with the
That would be
Michigan
funny,
one, I
'cause that
always
would be
felt
weird.
bad for the people that lived in the Upper Peninsula because you're like, yep, here's Michigan. Well, what about these people up here?
Well, that's right. I guess they don't
Geography's
count.
not funny.
Apparently, we're
Rod
not
says
funny.
geography is not funny.
So Indiana is funny, but not geography. That's what Rod says.
Well, what even is funny?
What?
It's a very subjective question.
Yeah, it is. It is.
Yeah.
Which is why it would be hard to write a comedy act, right?
Yeah.
I guess it kind of comes from, for me, I think it comes from not expecting whatever it was that just happened or somebody said. So we have a lot of arguments around here because I don't think any kind of farting joke is funny. I don't see that it's funny at all. Just do not see why that's funny. But my family disagrees with me, and I don't see the humor at all in it. I don't know why anybody thinks that's funny.
And I'm the type where I don't usually see a lot of humor in people hurting themselves or falling down and all of those blooper videos. And I'm like,
yeah, no, those are horrible to watch. They're hard to watch.
But a lot of people think they're fun, not be that popular.
I know, but I also don't like pranks where somebody gets hurt or somebody looks like an idiot or people are laughing because the person's acted like, they were fooled or something like that. Like those aren't funny. I think those are sad.
Yeah. I don't like
those are too sad. But all right. So anyway, we did not get to what we might challenge ourselves to do based on to enlarge our personalities or whatever you would call it. Based on the book. You don't have to. I'm just wondering if anybody would be willing to.
I don't know if we need to necessarily do something specific, but I think we should all do something that pushes that comfort zone. And that's going to be different for each of us.
Yeah. Okay. Do we want to say what it is right now?
I don't know. It's probably going to have to be something when I feel like I'm getting out of the house and not like being antisocial. Maybe that's what I have to do is this weekend I need to get out of the house and not spend the whole 3-day weekend at home being antisocial in my comfort zone.
There you go.
Because that's absolutely what I want to do is just spend 3 days and not leave.
I know. That's what I want to do too. And now I'm thinking, well, but that's really what I want to do. So why would I do anything else?
I already
because
have
you
big
might meet
plans
somebody
for
really
Saturday.
interesting.
I might. My daughter wants to travel by herself. She wants to go to the movies all the time by herself. And I think she's lying. Why would you go to the movies by yourself? Like, who are you meeting in Cambridge? Why do you have to go all the way to Cambridge to go to the movies? Like, we have movies in Arlington. I just can't understand that she'd want to go out to the, dinner and movie by herself.
That one was always a tough one for me until I moved out here, and then I went about 5 years after I moved to Arizona where I was going to school, didn't have a boyfriend, had zero interest in dating or getting involved, didn't have any really close friends, so it was either I eat at home or if I wanted to do anything, I was going out by my own on my own, and I'd go out to eat by myself. And it was probably at least a year or two of living here where I would not go to a restaurant. If I did, it was takeout because I'd go home and eat it. But I wouldn't sit down there alone, and finally realized that that's kind of stupid. I refused to go anywhere because I didn't know anybody, because I'm never going to meet anybody at home. And that was one of the things that my mom was always bugging me too. She's like, you need to go out, make friends. You need to go find some, you're not going to meet anybody if you're sitting in a house. You're going to have to find a husband or boyfriend at some point. And my attitude was always, I'm comfortable at home. If I go out of my comfort zone to try and meet a boyfriend, they're not going to be the right person because I'm meeting them doing things that I'm not comfortable doing. And like, eventually he'll show up at my front door, or I'll get into a car accident or something, and it'll happen when it happens. And then I met my neighbor who lived 2 apartments down from me, and we had lived next to each other for 5 years. Yep. We lived next to each other for 5 years before we actually met, because we were both kind of that introvert at that time.
Oh, that's
and
funny.
then we've been married. We're coming up to our 8th year, but we've been together for like 13 years. And
that's
because I'm like, they just showed up at home. I
she said,
show up in my lifestyle.
Her neighbor two floors up or something, Hannah, maybe. She said a couple times, possible new best friend. So
yeah,
right in her own building.
Well, Michelle tells me that my daughter's seeing someone. She doesn't want to tell me. Yeah, probably. I'm going to LA tomorrow and meeting with Mandy.
Suspect.
Rod Werner, that's where she goes, the Brattle Theater. So, yeah. All right, so let's get back to what we're going to commit to. I'm going to do something like maybe I'll go on the Friends app to make friends.
Ooh.
I think my husband would probably be upset because I'm pretty sure he wouldn't think it was just a Bumble Friends app,
Bumble
so
BFF.
maybe he'd get upset.
But it is a different app, right? It's not just like all mixed together. It's a Friends app.
No, it's not all mixed together. But I still, like, if he said to me, I'm going on a Bumble BFF, going on the BFF app to make some friends, like, okay, that seems weird that you would do that.
Of course, signing up for the app is one thing, but then getting into the deep conversations or inviting them to go do something is completely different. So you can't just get on the app. I think you need to start those deep conversations and ask somebody what's the worst thing they've ever done.
Yeah. Now, I have an idea now. I can't really find some improv near me, and I can't really, some of the other things I can't really do. But the group that I was having trouble where I'm feeling like it's all small talk, I'm going to try to, force it. I'm going to try to see if they can do deep talk next time I get together with them. That's what I'll do. See what happens.
You're going to go out with that group is it a group of friends you've had forever?
No, those people I have no problem with deep talk. It's a group, it's a different group. Yeah. Of not, like acquaintances more. Yeah.
No, like, are they a group of women or like you're going out socially or is it a
group of women? Yep. So.
All right. So are you going to report back about that? Not on the air. We don't have to. Oh, look, it's already 5:15. We got to go.
Oh my goodness. It's happy hour.
Wow. Yeah.
5 o'clock somewhere.
He just brought me my drink up here and look how melted it is already.
Oh, what was it?
Pretty hot up here. It's a Spindrift lime.
Oh.
Yep, a lime Spindrift. That's our sponsor for this book club. Well, we're gonna talk to her next week. Are we gonna have questions for her?
Sure.
We may all have stories for her of what we did this week to push ourselves out of the comfort zone.
Ooh, that would be good.
Oh no, Nicole, we have to do it
I think that's our goal. Is we need to have some that's our goal. Is whatever it is, whatever you're pushing to get out of the comfort zone, you need to have it done by next week so we can tell her during the talk.
So is she Thursday or when is she next week?
Thursday. She's our guest on Thursday.
Oh, that only a week. It's going to take me that long.
It is a long weekend, so we have time to embarrass ourselves this weekend. Obviously, we can't sign up for an improv class.
No.
We could go to an open mic and tell some jokes.
I don't know. The other day online, there was a, I think it was on Facebook. There's an ad that came up. This is not what I'm doing, by the way. But it definitely would be out of the comfort zone that they have drawing classes with a drink, but it's of nude male models. And I'm like,
Oh.
that would probably be really good for bachelorette parties or something like that. But I'm just like, I'd be embarrassed to even go to one of those but
Drawing the nude models?
while you're drinking with a bunch of girls.
Oh yeah, that
I've
does
done
seem
nude modeling.
I've
I've
gone
gone to
unnecessary.
nude modeling classes back when I was doing art classes and stuff when I was younger. So I've done those before. But
yeah,
interestingly enough, when high school we had my senior year, I had some art classes, and the teacher actually encouraged us. He's like, once a week at the college nearby, they do have open nude modeling classes, and he encouraged all of us to go. Not on the same days or anything, and I went to one of them. I don't think I told my parents I was going to it, but I'm like,
were you the model or you were drawing?
No, we were drawing.
That would be.
I went by myself to it also on that one. Just probably because I didn't want to admit to any of my friends that I was going to it. But I was very surprised to have a high school teacher that encouraged high school kids to go to it. But
well, it's for drawing purposes.
It is,
right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep.
Well, see, that I don't find very embarrassing or whatever. Like, I would not be a model. I don't think I would be a model. That's not going to happen.
Yeah.
Oh, it's just the thought of that. Okay, so we have until next Thursday to do something that puts us out of our comfort zone.
Something
and all
brave.
of the people who haven't even read the book can still do that
They
as
should
well.
read the book.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, even if you don't read the book, get something out of your comfort zone.
There you go.
And all right, we're going to report back here. Or how about the four of us? We can write in a little group chat.
Yeah.
Through Facebook or something.
Perfect.
Sounds good.
Well, thanks for joining the book club today.
Thank you. It was fun.
It was it was fun, and it's a fun book to read. So I mean, even if someone hasn't read it yet, you should just read it. It might inspire you to go out and maybe find something you love that you had no idea you were going to love. So,
do you ever go to the movies in the nude by yourself?
Oh, no.
What?
No, by myself in the nude, either in the nude or not. No.
This follow-up question is, did you ever get arrested? Because you would.
You would.
If you're going to do that one, depending on the type of people you hang out with, you have to go alone, because I'm not sure that anybody I know would want to go with me if I was going to go to the movie theater alone or go to the movie theater naked. So
yeah, I mean, that's just awkward. So we don't need to have awkward situations, just like personal growth. I mean, she ended up loving the comedy and loving the improv.
Make some connections.
Yep. All right.
Deep talk.
All right, I'm going to figure out what it's going to be. All right, deep talk.
All right.
Actually, my husband just went over to the neighbor's house. I could go over there and do some deep talk, but I think I'm going to lie down instead. So,
aren't you inspired, Catherine? Go do some
I know
deep talk.
You still want to go lie down. It didn't work.
It didn't work. I just thought those particular neighbors. I'm not. Okay, I'll go next door, but that's not going to be my thing.
Okay.
All right, I'm going to do something else that's more. I don't know what it's going to be. How exciting. All right. So we'll check in. Thanks. Everybody, we'll be talking to Jessica Pan next Thursday. Everybody have a good weekend. And
have a good, safe weekend.
Yeah. And I don't know. Just enjoy it. I'm going to take Monday off, maybe.
Me too. Why not?
Probably. And sleep. Okay.
All
Bye,
right.
everyone.
Bye, everybody.
Thank
Bye.
you.